Our story starts with Keith Green, who is a 27-year-old culinary student.
Okay.
And he's working hard trying to build a life for himself and his two daughters.
Right.
And then, boom, one day he vanishes after meeting with his ex-girlfriend, Tiffany Lee.
And like from the beginning,
Yeah.
the details are unsettling.
Yeah.
His phone turns up like miles away, just abandoned.
Yeah.
His car is still at his place, wallet untouched.
Right.
And then later on, they find his body, stripped of clothing, single gunshot wound.
It's tragic, and there's so much going on.
Totally.
So to understand it,
Yeah.
we need to go back and look at the relationship between Keith and Tiffany.
Okay.
Because their split, which happened 6 months before Keith disappeared,
Right.
was not a good one.
Oh, it was very messy.
It was a breakup fueled by infidelity and resentment.
Yeah. Tiffany started having an affair with Keith's friend, Kaveh Bayat.
Oh, wow.
Which is just adds another layer of betrayal to this whole thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got these totally different backgrounds.
Right.
Tiffany is from this family that has a fortune. Some people say it's in the hundreds of millions.
Oh.
Like, she has the kind of privilege that most of us can only dream of.
Right.
And Keith was coming from a totally different financial place.
Yeah, and that's super important to understanding this. Like, imagine Tiffany, who's used to this life of luxury.
Yeah.
She moves Kaveh into her mansion.
Right.
She buys him a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Keith is just trying to make it as a culinary student, raising 2 kids.
Trying to keep up with the lifestyle that his daughters were used to.
Exactly. It's like a recipe for conflict.
It really is.
You've got a bad breakup, a love triangle.
Financial problems, custody battle.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
Yeah.
And then on top of all that,
Right.
you have Olivier Adela,
Right.
the couple's bodyguard.
Yeah.
And according to him, Tiffany and Kaveh approached him with this crazy idea.
Yeah.
Make Keith disappear.
Yeah.
$50,000.
$50,000.
To end a life.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
And Adela says he said no at first, but then like later on, he got forced into their plan.
Oh.
He says that Tiffany and Kaveh came to his apartment with Keith already dead in their car.
Oh, wow.
So if Adela's telling the truth,
Right.
this means that Tiffany and Kaveh are directly involved.
Right, like this was planned.
Yeah.
This was cold-blooded.
Right, so they got arrested based on this information.
Yeah.
And you'd think this is an open and shut case.
Right.
But then it takes this crazy turn, this Olivier Adela.
Yeah.
That wasn't even his real name.
What?
It turns out his real name
Is Mustafa Traore.
Okay.
He was an immigrant from the Ivory Coast.
Wow.
And he made up his whole identity.
That's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And this obviously makes you question,
Right.
can we believe him?
It's going to have a big impact on the case.
Huge, yeah.
Wow.
So it's a really complicated situation.
Yeah.
But before we get into the legal stuff,
Okay.
we have to talk about the physical evidence.
Okay.
What did they find?
Yeah.
And how did it connect to the accusations?
Well, they found Keith's blood
Okay.
in 2 places. The garage of Tiffany's mansion
Oh, wow.
and in Adela's car. And to make things even more suspicious, they also found gunpowder residue
Okay.
near the bloodstains in the garage.
So even if we don't know if we can trust Adela,
Right.
there is physical evidence connecting Keith to Tiffany and Adela.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's like all the pieces are starting to come together.
It's like something out of a movie.
You've got the blood, the gunpowder.
Right.
It seems like they did it.
Yeah.
But here's where the money comes in.
Yeah, you're talking about Tiffany's bail. Right.
Yeah, that $35 million bail.
It's insane.
Yeah, because of her family's money.
Right.
She was able to get out of jail until the trial.
It's crazy because most people wouldn't even be able to come up with a fraction of that.
It is.
$35 million.
It's like buying your freedom.
It is.
So she's at home in her mansion waiting for the trial.
Right, and Kaveh and Adela are still locked up.
Yeah, and this is where their lawyers come in.
Okay.
Using everything they can to help their clients. They focused on Adela's past.
Right, because his real identity came out.
Exactly, and they're saying he can't be trusted.
Yeah.
They're saying maybe he's making this all up.
Right.
Maybe he's trying to get a better deal for himself.
So they're not just saying their clients are innocent.
Right.
They're saying Adela is behind it all.
That's right. They're saying maybe he tried to kidnap Keith and it went wrong.
And that maybe there were other people involved.
Exactly. We don't even know about.
It's like they're trying to make everyone doubt everything.
Yeah, create that reasonable doubt.
Right. And when your star witness is a liar, it's not that hard to do.
Exactly.
But what about the gunpowder?
Yeah, that's in Tiffany's garage.
Right.
So they're saying that the timing is off and that the gunpowder doesn't actually connect Tiffany or Cave to the murder.
Okay.
And get this.
Yeah.
There were no bullet marks or shell casings.
Really?
At the place where they think the shooting happened.
That's weird.
Yeah, no shell casings.
Do you think that means something else happened?
Yeah, like what if it was a professional hit?
Right, and they cleaned up everything.
Exactly.
So even the evidence we do have
right.
can be interpreted in different ways.
It's like a puzzle with a bunch of missing pieces.
Yeah, but how did the trial actually go?
It was intense.
Yeah.
Both sides really went after each other. The prosecution said, look at all the suspicious stuff.
Right.
Keith disappears. There's evidence connecting him to Tiffany and Adela.
Yeah.
And Adela says they were involved.
But I'm sure the defense had something to say about that.
Oh, yeah, they went after Adela.
Right.
They said he was lying.
Yeah.
That he was trying to save himself. They said the timing was all wrong.
Right.
That the blood and the gunpowder could be explained away.
And they kept saying there's no proof.
Right. No proof that Tiffany and Cave actually killed Keith.
So it came down to whether the jury believed Adela.
Exactly.
Did they believe the prosecution's story? Or did they think Adela was lying?
Yeah, and after weeks of this, the jury made a decision.
Okay, so what happened?
Tiffany Lee was found not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
After everything we talked about, all the accusations, the evidence.
They acquitted her.
Wow. And what about Cave?
They couldn't agree on a verdict.
So it was a mistrial.
Yes.
So he's not in the clear.
Right.
But he's not convicted either.
And then 5 weeks later,
the
prosecution said they weren't going to try him again.
Really?
They didn't think they could win.
Wow. So no one is responsible.
That's right.
For Keith's death.
As far as the law is concerned.
It's crazy. And it must have been really hard on Keith's family and friends.
To lose someone like that.
Right. And then have no one held accountable.
It makes you think about how fair the system really is.
Especially when you're dealing with rich people.
Yeah. And speaking of justice.
Right.
Keith's mother, Colleen, filed a wrongful death lawsuit.
Okay. Did anything come of that?
It did.
Okay.
But not in the way you might think.
Okay.
Keith's daughters got a $10 million settlement.
$10 million?
But they can't get it until they turn 18.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's not like it can replace their father.
Right. And that's the tough thing about these lawsuits.
Yeah.
Is it really justice?
Right.
Or are you just putting a price on a life?
It's a question that doesn't have an easy answer.
No, it doesn't.
So you have this legal system.
Right.
But it can't always give you real closure.
Especially when someone dies.
Yeah.
And this case is just so messy.
It really is.
You've got these different stories. A witness who's a liar.
Yeah.
A family that's heartbroken.
Right.
And then the legal system trying to figure out what to do about the money and the influence.
It's like a whirlwind.
Yeah, you start to realize that the truth can be really hard to find.
Right. And even when you have all this evidence and these lawyers arguing back and forth, sometimes justice just doesn't happen.
It's a tough reality.
So we've got the criminal trial.
Yeah.
And the wrongful death lawsuit.
Right.
But what about Olivier Adela?
Or should we say Mustafa Traore?
Yeah. What happened to him?
Well, Tiffany and Cave might be out of the spotlight.
Right.
But his story isn't over.
Okay, so let's talk about him.
Okay.
What happened after everyone found out who he really was?
Well, remember he wanted to go to Las Vegas.
Yeah, for that MMA fight.
Right, even though he was in the middle of all this legal trouble.
Yeah, it was a pretty bold move.
It was, and the court said no.
Obviously.
Yeah, he couldn't just leave.
But that wasn't the end of it.
Nope, remember he made up his whole life.
Right, he stole someone's identity.
Yeah, so he got in trouble for that too.
What happened?
He was charged with passport fraud.
And was he convicted? It's crazy how one person's lies can affect so many people.
It's like a chain reaction.
It really is.
He lied, and it messed up the whole investigation.
And it hurt everyone involved.
Exactly.
It makes you think about how important trust is.
Especially in court.
Yeah, if you can't trust the witness, then the whole system falls apart.
It makes you wonder if things would have been different if we knew who he really was from the beginning.
This whole case just shows you, like, people make choices, and sometimes those choices have crazy consequences.
And we never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, so we've talked about all these details.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
But what does it all mean?
Right. Like, what's the bigger picture here?
We've got money, power, lies.
Yeah, and someone died.
And we still don't know the whole truth.
Exactly.
Did all that money and power stop us from getting to the truth?
Yeah, it makes you think,
Like, Tiffany was able to pay that insane bail.
Right.
She had all these resources and lawyers. It makes it seem like rich people play by different rules.
It's like David and Goliath.
Yeah.
But Goliath has like a platinum credit card.
Exactly. We can't say for sure that money bought her freedom.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes you wonder.
And it makes you think about the whole system.
Yeah.
Like, if rich people can just get away with things,
then
what does that say about justice?
It's like this whole case is saying justice isn't always blind.
Sometimes it's like blindfolded with a $100 bill.
Right.
And this isn't just about Keith.
Right.
It's about all of us.
Yeah.
If we can't trust the system to be fair,
then what do we have left?
So this deep dive has been intense.
It's been a lot.
We've seen all these contradictions. Love, money, betrayal, and a system that might be broken.
Yeah, it makes you think about what do we value?
Yeah.
Truth, fairness, accountability.
And are we really fighting for those things?
Right. Are we making sure everyone has access to justice?
No matter how much money they have.
That's the question we need to keep asking.
This case will stick with me.
Me too.
It reminds you
Yeah.
that the fight for truth and justice never ends.
And we can't let our guard down.
We have to keep talking about these things.
Exactly.
We have to keep asking questions.
It's holding people accountable.
Yeah, no matter who they are.
It's a responsibility we all share.
So as we wrap this up,
we want you to think about something.
Oh.
What did this case show you about wealth? About justice?
And about what happens when people want power so badly?
That they're willing to do anything to get it.
Keep talking about it.
Keep exploring these questions.
Yeah, don't let this be the end.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yeah, it's been real.
We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
With another deep dive.
Can't wait.